Been in scouting, I guess, since I was 12, and had a real good scoutmaster coming up, and in the service, and got out of service, and then started right back into scouting with the Explorer program. Moved to Cobb County in '63, and went to Wood Badge Southeast region, one of two in the Cobb district at that time that had been to Wood Badge, and naturally had all the training and had to be the training person for the district for a number of years. From that, and during that period of time, I started Troop 714, which is still in existence, and Troop 750 in 1971.
Wow.
And it's still in existence, and we have had maybe 125 or 100 or more Eagles from that time. After Wood Badge, started in 92-12 Wood Badge. I was at that time the designation was coach counselor instead of your committee. So we went from there to next year in Wood Badge. I was a assistant scoutmaster, and then the next year was a senior patrol leader, and then went on to be the course director in Wood Badge, and got to the point after that being an advisor to the Wood Badge, and then going on to either being a certificate for a Wood Badge or a divorce certificate. I got out of that. So.
Well, tell us how you got involved in SWC.
Yeah, SWC.
How many years have you been in the with this event?
With this event, a group of guys and myself, we came up with this event years ago. As a matter of fact, it'd be over 30 years, over 50, because we had 1 year we did not have a SWC because of the weather, but Homer Powell and a group of us got together and said, well, the kids aren't getting out in the cold weather, so we said, well, we'll just start a SWC to prove that you can camp in the wintertime. So we started out there with 12 guys, and you see what it is. We've been as high as 400 out here, and it's been cold and it's been good. And so the year I was a scoutmaster in '74, we'd gone through a number of months of bad weather, and so my SWC was at Dobbins Air Force Base, and we had a slim turnout because the weather was beautiful that Saturday, and the theme was survival cooking. So we cooked a chicken in the mud and cooked the egg and orange, peel an orange and cook an egg and a half the orange peel, and everybody had a good time that was there. So then from then on, it's just been attending on staff and then just attending, and this will be the 44th year for me. So, and I've enjoyed it.
You've seen it all.
Yes.
You've seen it all.
All kind of kids from time to time. And I guess some things have improved and some things have not up to speed at the present time, but I guess we're getting back on the program. But I guess SWC has been the highlight, and the biggest highlight, though, is seeing those boys go to become Eagle Scouts. And I always tell them, when they get up to life and the perfume and the gas starts to mix, you just ask them a question: you're going to be life for life, or you're going to be an Eagle? So, and the kids at that time were procrastinating at the last minute with, well, I want to do it, but how many months have you got left before you're 18? So you've got to maintain a constant vigil on them to make sure they don't age out. And it happened to be my youngest son, he did that, and a friend of mine drove for North American Van Lines, and he just happened to be through the neighborhood that week. And we put him in the cab of the truck, and it had a computer, and we told him, you don't come out until you get all the paperwork done. And so I turned his paperwork in the day before he was 18.
Too funny. And, happens to the best of us.
Yes.
All the time.
You got to push them and just hope they go the right way.
Well, you have started something that we are just eternally grateful for, because here we are because of you and your compatriots. We want to pass that on.
Well-
to a new generation of folks. So what would you tell someone now that hasn't maybe been to SWC before that would bring them here? What would you say to that person?
Give you a chance to be a kid again. You can come up here and be in a patrol and have as much fun as you want to and act like a kid. So,
Right.
and then what you do, take it back to your troop and give them the information you gained by being here.
And you learn something to boot.
That's right.
You bet.
And naturally, everybody will learn something when they come up here if it's not learning how to keep warm or you know, telling the next group to come up and say, well, this is what you got to do, you know. And a lot of kids and adults too forget, you know, they got the sleeping bag and they got all the stuff on top, but they fail to put down something on the ground to keep the cold out. So,
You learn that lesson real quick.
real quick. So, anything else you need?
Anything you want to tell us about your time since the inception of this event? Anything that you would like anybody to know? You just tell us. Otherwise, we appreciate it. We're just glad to see you, and we're glad you're here.
Well, it's been a good experience and still going. And if my knees hold out, I'll be here again next year. So,
If you would, tell us who you are and what year you were Scoutmaster.
Cliff McMahon, 1991,
Very good.
23rd,
The 23rd SWC.
right.
Very exciting. What was your theme?
I'm proud to be a Boy Scout.
That's very cool. So tell us a little bit about how that theme played out over the weekend for you.
Well, you know, we had the games, and that's been 25 years. Actually, 27 years. We had the games, and what I remember most about it, as far as myself concerned, I ended up with a nosebleed for the whole weekend.
Oh my land.
And you know,
So how was the weather and how were the games? Did people have a good time? And
I think they had a good time.
yeah,
And to be honest with you, I don't remember what all the games were. And you know, it's I wouldn't. I remember a lot of the people, you know, and the campfire and just
well now
good time.
something has brought you back. Now, how many years have you been involved in SWC?
This is 43rd.
43
Yeah,
out of 50.
yeah.
That is amazing. Like I said, real celebrity for SWC.
Well, you know, I just come and enjoy it and enjoy scouting. I'm not in. This is the only thing I do basically in scouting, other than support the troop.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's I have friends here that I only see them when the SWC,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that they'll be here more than likely if they can. So, yep.
Well, I tell you what, we're trying to get some words of wisdom from some of you who have seen a lot of SWCs and a lot of good things that have come out of it. If you had something you could pass on, what would it be?
My guess would my first initial thought would be to make sure you return and keep coming, because if you don't come back, you don't have the fellowship. This is a group of people that you can fellowship with, and a lot of people I only fellowship with, like me, I only fellowship with people at this thing.
Good advice.
And you know, and the main thing, the main thing, is to take what you learn here back to your troop, because it's not a learning experience, it's a learning experience, not a training experience. So take it back to your troop and let the boys, from your knowledge, pass it on to them, because our young people are our future.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't have the young people involved in it, there's not going to be a future.
You bet.
Okay.
Give them something to take away from it.
Yep,
Nuggets, right?
yep.
You bet.
And just one other thing you'd see it if you read it in the book. The year I was Scoutmaster was the first year for the Spirit Award. That was something that I put in place for that year.
Really?
It's still going to Spirit Award, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an integral part of what we do.
Yep. And that was to me.
Well, we have you to thank.
Yep. Yeah, that was my idea. So
Yeah?
I didn't have a lot of them, but that was
But apparently a very good one and an enduring one.
yeah. Yeah.
Very good. Well, I think you recognized. Did you recognize that that was a need, or something that the participants were, what was the impetus behind the Spirit
impetus
Award
beh-
for you?
The impetus behind it was for your peers to select somebody, to be the patrol to be the Spirit Award.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like back in the troop, you'd have the patrols competing with each other, and that was just the Spirit Award to me. Says you're going to vote. You vote for who you think's the best spirit.
Right.
And,
Right.
Who does the best job? Not necessarily who does the best job, but the
Best attitude about it.
attitude.
Absolutely. That's everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're probably not going to like this, but anyway, you can cut it out. You know what a attitude and altitude adjustment is?
I'd love to hear the answer.
Swift kick in the rear.
You bet.
It changes both.
It
Yeah,
changes
do.
both. I like that. Very, very good. Awesome. Well, anything else you want to add to
No,
let
just-
people know?
Yes, my daddy used that on me quite a bit.
Seemed to work.
It gave me a reward for changing my attitude and altitude.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we thank you so much.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
All right.
So tell us your name and what year were you SWC Scoutmaster?
My name is Brian Jones. I was the Scoutmaster of the 25th SWC in 1993.
So what was the theme for your time as Scoutmaster?
We did our 25th anniversary theme was fun, fellowship, and training.
Great.
Because
So-
I felt that was all key elements to the Scouters Winter Campout, not just camping.
So what did you do differently when it was your turn to be Scoutmaster? What is something you brought to?
The couple things probably, and I don't know that they were absolutely the first year, but I believe both of them, we overly encouraged Cub Scout attendants and other representatives from other programs in scouting. I know we did. That was the first year we'd ever done the fellowship dinner, and probably most of that. More, we did. We did a show and do like they're doing this year, where you did it in the campsite. But I'm sure that's been done in various things. But our whole idea was to get to know each other and to identify common ground and help other people, both the new people there, as well as the returnees. That we're not there because we're the experts. We're there because we all love scouting, and there's something to be gained by being in an activity where there's a bunch of adults and you get a chance to fellowship and talk about both the challenges and the positives that you've run into in scouting.
How long have you been in scouting?
Scouting 1979, so whatever that is, about 38, 39 years as an adult and 8 years as a youth. So 47 years, I guess.
So what made you want to be the SWC Scoutmaster?
Oh, I think I'd had great experiences at the SWC starting in, I think my first year was 1982. And just had a great experience. Had a wonderful old friend who's passed on named Larry Cupp, who got me here the first couple of years. He introduced me to the program. Let me show you how much fun they were having and all the good activities and all the new friends I was meeting. And once I started coming, I always wanted to come back. There was never a doubt.
Including your time as Scoutmaster, what was the most memorable SWC that you could?
Well, probably, most people would say their first year. My first year, because I really didn't have a clue what SWC was, really didn't have much expectation. It was a miserable experience. It was a rainy weekend out at Dobbins Air Force Base. We were in all this mud. If it could go wrong, it went wrong. But in spite of it, just like a bad camp out with a bunch of scouts, we managed to have some fun and learn some things. And from that, I think I've always remembered that experience.
What would you recommend to someone who has never been to SWC, something that you would say, hey, don't forget?
Don't forget that to me, partly based on what theme I used in that 25th year, is the fact that there's a lot more to this than just having fun. There's a lot more to it than just joining a patrol and dressing kind of funny. It's all about, the old adage was, it's all about the boys. It's all about the scouts we serve. There's all this great opportunity to sit down and talk, or to see somebody else's thing they do better than you, or to go back and share the experiences with your scouts. And I just think that's always been the positive of it.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you so much.
Hi there. So will you do us a favor and tell us what your name is and what year you were Scoutmaster?
My name is Bill Bass. I was Scoutmaster of 1996. Yeah,
What was the theme of your particular SWC?
scouting is the adult thing to do.
Oh, very exciting. How'd you come up with that?
Each year the Scoutmaster has to come up with something for, the theme for the event, and the purpose of SWC is to get adults involved, of course, in winter camping, but scouting is something for the adults to get involved with, and not just the boys.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, tell us something that was unique or unusual or that stood out for you during your term as Scoutmaster.
Well, something that really happened, it rained on Friday night and then got down to 6 degrees. We had 6 inches of snow, and probably half the troop got scared and left.
No kidding.
And not the staff, but the troop.
Right.
And so everybody that stayed, we told them that they could take their claw and dip it in white paint, and as a result of staying. Of course, this past year they did this red snow also, and they also allowed them to do it this past year.
So was that the first time that the claws were dipped in white?
Yes,
That's really interesting. I didn't know that. So that was a great nugget to tell us.
yes.
All right. So if you had an opportunity to pass on some of your wisdom, now how many years have you been coming to SWC? There's quite a lot of claws on that necklace.
This will be 33.
Wow. Okay. 33 years of doing this.
Yes.
What would you pass on to somebody relatively new?
Stay in contact with good friends that are in scouting, and they'll help you and encourage you to stay with it and to continue coming back, because it's a good time for fellowship and meeting adult scouters that maybe you won't see the rest of the year. I mean, for instance, I've been here 33 years, and a lot of them are new people I don't know, but it's a great thing to meet new people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
Wonderful. All right.
Okay.
Welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, glad you all are here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So tell us who you are.
I'm David Adams,
And when were you Scoutmaster, Mr. Adams?
1999,
99.
a while back now.
Okay. What was your theme for your weekend?
I'm not certain what my theme was. I'd have to check my book for that.
I see. We have a book for that.
Well, why don't we get the book
How
over
helpful.
here?
Right.
Well, it's a link to our past and an eye to our future, which was an appropriate theme because we had just split as a district, Cobb, into the 3 pieces that it no longer is in. It was in the Covered Bridge, the Foothills, and the Mountain Lake. So this was our first SWC after that split. And we had, attendance was down a little bit, as I recall, know the numbers, and it was because of that reason. We had some chaos people not sure they wanted to come anymore because of what it would become. So, yeah.
Wow. So tell me, you've been in SWC a while now. I see lots of claws. How many years?
This is 29.
29.
It
Wow.
is.
That's wonderful.
That's a good start.
It's a good start. Well, tell us some of the things that over your 29 years of being here that really stand out in your mind. Anything that you've seen?
I will be glad to. So over all those years, we keep serving the same kind of good people up in this event. And I think it's made our districts stronger. It certainly, I believe, made the packs and troops that support the event stronger, because people bond here and they go back, take that to their units, and then they are stronger for the experience. So a lot of those intangible things that happen because of SWC, bear fruit in the troops and packs.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
You
Yeah,
bet, you bet. Well, and we're grateful for that.
yeah, we are too.
We are grateful for that. So we've got some folks that are, seeing this that are relatively new maybe to this event. What would you pass on? Words of wisdom to them.
So I would pass on that this event should be attended so that you as an individual can go back to the boys and soon-to-be girls, that are the youth of our next generation, and do a better job to prepare them to lead. So that's really what this started as. It started as a training event so that the adults in the district would come out and learn how to camp in the cold weather, so they in turn would take their youth out camping. So that's why it started. So it's still a training event, which is the reason we get by with the council having an all-adult event.
You bet. You bet. And it's fun.
It is fun.
It is fun.
We have a good time.
We do have a good time.
So we want to come out and support the event as long as we can, do it.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Good advice. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
being here.
Thanks for you being here.
All right. All right. Well, welcome. We appreciate you being here. Tell us who you are and the year that you were Scoutmaster.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. So my name's Sam Johnson. I was the Scoutmaster for the SWC that took place in January of the year 2000.
Wow.
And if you are old enough to remember back that far, there was a lot of paranoia about whether or not the world was going to shut down because of the computer systems. So they called it Y2K, and so the participants dubbed the event the SWC Y2K. And I have a commemorative coffee mug that
To prove
actually
it.
says that. Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. I love it. So tell us a little bit about, if you can, that particular weekend. Anything that you'd like to share about your theme or how it worked out?
Well, okay,
or-
so we'll start with the theme.
Yeah.
The theme was called The Joy of Scouting. And it was not a takeoff of the cookbook, The Joy of Cooking, okay? It was really a takeoff of a letter that Robert Baden-Powell, the founder of Scouting, wrote that I found in one of the old Scout handbooks.
No kidding.
And we reproduced it that year in the booklet, and I haven't looked at it in a long, long time. But it really, I guess what he wrote really spoke to me about the wonderful, things that you can get out of scouting if you take the right attitude and the joy that you can get out of it. And it's like a lot of things, and scouting in particular, the more you put into it, you reap it back, in spades after that. So I felt pretty strong about that. And this event, even though it is considered to be a training event, we want it to be a lot of fun for the participants, because that's probably the most important thing. The method to the madness in terms of bringing up our boys and having them be great citizens and fathers and so on when they get to be adults. We make that happen through the fun of the program. And so you'll see that going on more than anything else in the event, is trying to put in an element of fun of everything that we do.
You bet. It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference.
Gets people to come back.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so if you're not having fun, you won't come back. And the very same thing is true of the boys. If they're not having fun from the very beginning, right when they cross over, if you're not providing that fun for them, they've got plenty of other things that are, a drain on their life.
You bet. What an important lesson.
Yeah, so that's a big part of what we try to do. The training isn't just the nuts and bolts and how to build a fire or how to tie a knot or whatever that might be. It's also about how to have fun. So part of the idea of the event is to allow all the participants to unleash their inner 12-year-old. And it gives them an accepting environment to do that.
You bet. It's terrific too. We have a great time. Now, how you've been here for a minute? I see lots of claws. How many?
I just counted them because I had no idea. So this is my 24th year.
24.
I've been in Atlanta now for 27 years, and I think the only one I didn't go the first year because I was just getting involved in scouting with my oldest son, and then a couple years I was sick, so I didn't make it. But other than that, yeah, I've
That's
been
terrific.
here every time.
That's terrific.
We've had all kinds of weather, of course. In my event, it was a little wet. It was a little warm. It was kind of 50 and rainy and something like that. So, but it was bad enough that we ended up having the campfire indoors that night. One of the things that we did do that has actually survived, one of the things that people, maybe we take it for granted for now, but it turned out to be a wonderful thing, is the Friday night Cracker Barrel that we call Classic Cobb Cafe, right? This was the idea of Dennis Rowe, who was a more recent Scoutmaster of the event. And Dennis did a tremendous job with this. Dennis is known for his ability to cook for large groups.
Yes, he did.
And cook well. And so Dennis instituted the Classic Cobb Cafe, and it's really a great thing because there's a couple of reasons for it. One is sometimes participants get up here late, okay, and they haven't had a time maybe to have dinner. You're coming off of work or something like that, and you got to get up here, and and gee, what am I going to do to eat? And so this provides some sustenance for them, but also it provides a really one of the best opportunities for people to meet and greet and have some camaraderie, because after Friday night, we're all doing program and things with our groups and all that. So it's one of the best opportunities to have some fellowship.
Right. Which is an important part of the whole thing.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. I mean, there's some people that I only see once, a lot of people that I only see once a year up here, and it's good to catch up with folks.
You bet.
And see how they're doing, their families and
You
so
bet.
on.
Keep that relationship going. It's
Yeah.
terrific.
Yeah.
Some of your best scouting memories involve people that we only see every now and again.
Right. It's amazing to think back that it's actually been that long. But you can't argue with the numbers. They are
That's
what
right.
they are.
That's right. It's terrific. Well, if there was some other words of wisdom, something that you would want to pass on, something maybe that you learned that you felt was really important, final words.
Yeah.
What would
Okay.
they be?
Well, first of all, let me say that I believe the scouting program in general is extremely important. I mean, not just for individuals, but I think it's important to have the kinds of leaders that the scout program produces running, in our communities or running in our political system or what have you. And one of the other things I feel strongly about, that scouts still, there is the 12th point of the scout law is a scout is reverent. And so that is not only respected but encouraged here, and you don't see that a lot. In a lot of our institutions, right? Yeah. So, I think the scouting program provides a really, really important function for the community of our country. And so this event really provides the fuel for the leaders to take back and give strong programs that'll keep their kids interested, keep the boys interested, and at the same time, they learn a lot of things that they don't even know they're learning as they go through it. It's a beautiful thing to see a young man make it through the program and ultimately even get to the role of Eagle, or the rank of Eagle. And to see them being able to interact with an adult. Okay, you ask them a question, you don't get or I don't know, or something like that. You actually can have a dialogue with them. It's a wonderful thing to see that in a teenager. And this is something that they take with them into their young adulthood, and that's how they, that sets them apart from others. So, so anyway, it's a wonderful thing, and we just try to do our little part here with
Every little
SWC.
bit matters.
Yep.
Every little bit matters. Well, we thank you very much.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you
what
being
you're
here.
doing. This is really nice.
Go for it.
I'm Don Snyder. I was a Scoutmaster for 2007. The theme that I had chosen because of my Eagle Scout background and involvement with the Order of the Arrow was Eagle Bound Indian style. And throughout the whole event, we had people dressed up as Indians. Myself and my ASPL were both praying that the rain would hold off so that we could wear our headdresses, because through the help from the OA and Marilyn Parker, I was able to borrow a chief's headdress that had the two trails all the way down to the ground in the back, if you've ever seen that. And then the ASPL, or the Siege Patrol Leader, wore just a standard headdress, chief headdress. But it was so neat for us to be in that kind of a dress or attire for our opening ceremony. So it worked out real well.
Bet that was spectacular.
Yes, it was. The other thing is 2017 is when we were into 3 districts. So one of the things that we did is we set up 3 teepees, one representing each of the 3 districts that now made up Colossal Cobb County. So we tried to again incorporate themes and everything to incorporate and get all 3 districts involved in the SWC for that year.
That's great. That's great. Well, we've got folks that are relatively new to this event. What words of wisdom would you like to pass on to any of us that are going to continue the tradition that you all have started for us?
One of the things that when you get into scouting as an adult, your whole focus is working with the youth. And SWC has an interesting twist on that in the fact that you are able to come up here and act like a kid, because we set everything up in patrols. You do everything in patrols, you do competitions in patrols, just like you were a child, and that gets you into a mindset of what the kids and scouts that you work with on a daily basis feel and react to. And then you're able to take these games that you play back to your units to help them. But it's also just a good time to get away from all the responsibilities of being with children, which, that's great because I've been doing it for over 40 years, so it's not like it's something that I don't like to do. But it's fun to come up here and just sort of let your hair down and act like a kid for a while.
You bet.
Even at my age.
You bet. You bet. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. Well, any parting further words of wisdom? Now, you said you've been in scouting for how long?
40 years.
40 years. Now, how many SWCs?
This will be my 25th.
Excellent.
So 25 out of 50
Congratulations.
I have been here.
That's great.
And again, I urge you to just come one time, try it out, and I guarantee you'll be...
Okay, first of all,
Yes.
introduce us to yourself. Who are you and what was your year
I am
as
Dave.
Scoutmaster?
I am Dave Parks. I was Scoutmaster 2008. Of course, SPL the year before.
What was your theme? For
My
your-
theme was pioneering. We were trying to get back to some of the earlier events, which everybody was doing huge pioneering projects. So, and it worked. We had a lot of great pioneering going on at that event.
Sure.
Had some really nice pioneering awards for the best pioneers. We had a hand-carved wooden Bowie knife about that high. We had kind of a paddle, a hand-carved paddle with, wood blazoned on it and all this kind of stuff. So,
Very nice.
was a good event. It was a little snow on the ground, I think, when we got up here. It was clear the next day, some rain Saturday night, rain on Sunday, but cold, but not like this. So
It is a bit brisk.
it is. It's definitely a bit brisk.
So tell us now, how many years have you been in scouting and how many years have you been here at SWC?
I've been in scouting. Let's go backwards. I've been here for, this will be my 24th year this year at SWC. I've been on staff for 18 years, and I actually came up here my second year as a scouter. So about 26 years total.
So hand in hand.
And in it, yep,
Did it help?
it helped enormously.
Yeah. How so?
Well, for me personally, I was not a scout as a youngster. And I told people, I think I'm having more fun than my son. We were a very active unit. We camped every month, sometimes 3 times a month if there were events going on,
If it was out there, you were there.
council-wide events, and we did our own anyway. We didn't go, oh, well, we're doing a council event, so that counts for us. No, we still camp. And we did wild caving, with the older kids, the ventures. We did whitewater canoeing, whitewater rafting, rock climbing, all kinds of things.
So us grown up old fogies, we can still have fun.
I was having a blast, yeah, because I didn't have the opportunity to do a lot of that when I was young.
Right.
I'd camped out a lot, but not any of the high adventure stuff. So for me personally, it was, the whole thing was great, and I developed a lot of leadership skills. They put you in somewhere and kind of work you up, and same thing they do here for this event. You start somewhere and get familiar with that area, and then the next area, registration, scoring, judging. You work all of those things over 5 or 10 years.
Something you may not have done before.
Something you may not have done before.
Right.
And even if it's something in one area you've done, it's unlikely you've done all of this. So, for me personally, it's been great. It's been great to see what it does for the boys. Exactly. you know, you watch kids grow up, and I've got two Eagles, two Eagle Scouts, and of
That's
course
right.
they got a little pushed through, like a lot of them do.
Don't they, though?
But, yeah, it is. It's amazing to see kids come in at a young age, and the confidence that they get going along, the skills they learn, and what they look like 5, 6 years down the road.
I bet you've seen that in some of us adults as well.
Yes, yeah, you do.
I mean,
You do.
absolutely. That's the whole point, isn't it?
It is, and I think one of the, I want to call it a myth, but one of the things I grew up believing was, you know, well, here I am, I'm getting into high school, and in about, 7 years, I'll be an adult. And that's the end of it.
And that's the end
You're
of
an
it.
adult. And not quite. I'm still working on it.
Right. And,
As
and
we
still
all
having
do.
fun, as we
As
all,
we all do,
yeah,
exactly.
Right.
So-
Well, what would you pass on, you know, to the you then? What would you tell yourself then that you know now that you didn't know?
That I didn't know.
That you didn't
When
know.
When I actually joined, and they said, you know, my son went up with my son, got him involved, and he wasn't in Cub Scouts, so went straight into Boy Scouts, and they're like, well, do you want to be a leader? And I'm looking around going, this is kind of nerdy. You know, I don't know. And they corral me in, and it doesn't take too long before you learn, no, this is not nerdy. You know, this is really something special. So
It is really
that's
something
what I
special.
would just go back and say, hey, do this. Yeah, do this. As a matter of fact, do it sooner.
Do it sooner.
Yeah, exactly.
Good advice.
So,
Good advice.
any other questions?
Anything else you'd like to tell us? Anything that any words of wisdom other than that? Those are great.
Other than just be involved, even if it's not scouting, be involved in something that you enjoy or hopefully passionate about, and stay involved. You know, I think it makes a big difference on how you age, how you appear. I mean, I'll be 70 on my next birthday, so still feel like I'm 40 or 50.
You bet.
You know, probably genes, but I think the attitude and being involved helps. I really do.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. Well, we thanks so much.
Alrighty.
Take it away, Tom.
All right, I'm Tom Moran. I was a Scoutmaster in 2009 at SWC, and the theme of my year for SWC was Leave a Trace. Now, in Scouting, we teach Scouts to leave no trace, but I decided for this year I wanted to teach the leaders that were at SWC that we need to leave a trace. As we're working with Scouts, we want to make sure that we leave a trace on them, their character and who they are, and make that image with Scouting something that really is,
Sticks with you.
leave a trace with them that
That's okay.
stays with them for life. So that's where leave a trace came from. But we had to make sure that with the participants, they didn't just leave the garbage all over the place. So they had to, still practice
Few
leaving a
parameters.
trace and things like that. So
Well, tell us a couple things about either your SWC weekend or over the course of the time you've been involved in SWC
Okay.
that have stuck out in your mind.
okay, well, before I do that, I've been involved with Scouting for a little bit over 30 years.
Wow.
I'm in my 19th year as Scoutmaster for Troop 1776. And now currently, this will be my fourth summer that I'll be camp director at Burt Adams Scout Camp. So,
Excellent.
and this will be my 22nd SWC. So
You are all in.
I'm all in. In fact, last week, we had a very successful winter camp at Burt Adams, where we had over 200 scouts come out and practice their winter camping skills. And we actually had winter there too. Temperatures got down low, so we're kind of practicing SWC with the boys, which is what this is all about, really, is being able to take boys out and do camping in all seasons, not just good weather. But we even had a polar bear plunge. We did a Klondike Derby, as well as offering merit badges and a lot of cool stuff like that.
That's fabulous. Great event.
Yeah.
Great event.
So, my big thing has always been program. I'm in it for the boys. I like to see boys advance, but not just for the sake of advancement. This is not, I never ran an Eagle factory, but I've got over 130 Eagles that have come up through my watch, just out of my troop, not to mention all those that I've affected, summer camps and through other programs and trainings that I've done as well.
So what's the one thing you tell all of those young men and young women, I'm sure, at least leaders and different things? What's that one thing that you tell them, Tom?
Scouting is all about character. You know, there's a lot of people that want to push the buttons and check off the boxes and say, oh, I made it to Eagle. But it's not just making it to Eagle and having that. You know, it's something inside of you that really makes the difference in being an Eagle Scout. Or just being in scouting. Because being an Eagle is just the cherry on the cake. Making first class is, I mean, that's what Baden-Powell thought it was all about, was getting first class skills. But developing that inner being within the Scouts, helping them become self-sufficient, helping them to be good citizens, and being kind to other people and service to others. That's what scouting is all about, and that's why we do this.
Absolutely valuable. Right. Well, any final words that you'd like to give those of us who are going to try to continue this with you? Words of wisdom, advice, anything?
Well, it's all about the kids. It's all about the kids. And even though we can get together on a weekend like this and have a lot of fun with adults, we have to remember it's about the boys and soon to be about the girls that are in this program. Even though we've had ventures for many years, pretty soon we're going to have girls as Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts as well. So, you know, it's all about the youth and developing them and helping them grow to lead our country and our world into the next generations.
Pass it on. Excellent. Well, thanks, Tom. So tell us who you are.
I'm Warren Wright. I was Scoutmaster 2011. My theme was Training Heroes. I like that theme because I feel that Boy Scouts prepare you to be heroes. One of the things that happened that what drove me to that theme was I had a scout one time. And we did a special project for somebody, and turned around, we did a great job, but then it turned around, they weren't exactly appreciative. So the scout asked me, well, why do we do this? And I said, because we're Boy Scouts, and we're kind of the unsung heroes, is how I always want to look at it. You know, you don't have the stars against sports and everything, but we're always there, and we're always the good guys. And that's why Training Heroes, I had white hats. Because good guys always wear white hats. Now, the thing is, if you noticed, all the silver calls that came here had different hats on. The hat that you use as a staff hat when you're a silver call is the hat you have to wear at every SWC afterwards. So you'll see all the different hats, and that's everybody's staff hat that they had. And this was my staff hat that I used. One thing I did different with my hat, though, you'll notice there's a bunch of names on there. That wasn't the case with the staff hats. These were white hats, and I had all my patrols sign my hat when I was Scoutmaster. So it gives me a chance to reminisce of the names of the patrols. A couple other things I did differently. I did a lot of changes when I was Scoutmaster. Started the Davis Inn hike. We started that. I moved the staff down to the Nunn building where they are now. It gave them an opportunity not so much to focus on setting up their camp, but to focus on the program itself. So we thought that was a win situation. I don't know if we were at the beginning of setting up the stained glass windows, but we did have the stained glass windows set up. And I had the staff uniformly dressed all in red jackets. That was something different. I do have a video out there if you ever get a chance to see the video. It talks a lot about our games. As far as SWC, why you should go. Okay, I've been over training, district training, several years, and of course I'm not that now, but at one point I was. And we used to do the training where everybody was put into patrols, and you did get to act and feel what it is like in a patrol setting. They've changed the training a lot, and you don't get a lot of that feeling anymore. So SWC gives you the chance to feel what it's like to work in a patrol. And even if you went to a training, if they bring it back the way they were, this is like being on a training for a camp brawl, something. It's a huge event. So you have, even a jamboree, you might compare it to a jamboree, and you're participating as a patrol, and you get to participate in the game. So you get that feeling inside of you that your youth gets, it feels. And that's why it's important to come to this. It's important to learn how to winter camp. And we've had SWCs in 70-degree weather. So I don't like to focus so much on the cold, saying it's for cold. I'm saying it's for camaraderie, getting the new training experience of seeing what boys go through. And you will find, even though you're adults, somebody doesn't want to cook, somebody doesn't want to clean the dishes. All the things that you as an adult will hear the boys griping about. Well, as an adult, you could say, order them around. But you don't know what they're actually going through unless you experience it. So what else you want to know, Tracy?
Important stuff. That's great.
Okay.
No, that's absolutely true. That is a glorious stick that you have there.
Yes.
Tell me about that, because it's really something.
I have always had this. I've had this since I started being the Scoutmaster, which I started in 2000, so this is my 18th year as Scoutmaster.
Wow.
So I got a name for it. It's Tornado. Because it kind of looks like a tornado.
It does look like that. It's terrific.
Won't say where I got it from, though, but I finished it off. So.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, what we're looking for is all the great things that you've given me, and then words of wisdom, things to pass on, something that you didn't really maybe know at first, and say, hey, this was important to me. I learned this.
Yeah. One thing, I'm not saying it, but reinforce it. You got to keep a positive attitude. Positive mental attitude is one of the most important things. It's all through life. You need to keep a positive. I mean, okay, right now we're experiencing extreme cold weather, and you could curl up in a ball and complain, or you could move on. In fact, when I was in Boy Scouts, when I was a youth, we were on a cold camp out. And what the Scoutmaster did at that time is, and everybody was starting to get into it's so cold, it's so cold. He had to start doing the basic thing of collecting firewood. And collecting firewood, we all got warm, and everybody quit griping about it. And so that's the idea of a positive mental attitude. Not only a positive, but start doing something positive to get you out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Always good advice.
yes.
Always good.
Okay, anything else?
Anything you want to tell us,
I
it's
have
up to you.
nothing else.
That was great.
Okay.
So thanks very much. We
Yeah,
appreciate you being here.
Yeah, keep your families involved. I got to say that. My family, I've had a wife, a son, 2 sons, and a daughter-in-law attend SWC.
All right. Go ahead. Will you let us know who you are and the year that you were Scoutmaster of SWC?
My name is Dennis Rowe. I was Scoutmaster in 2012,
What was the theme of your
and the theme was On My Honor.
resonates?
That's one of those, pop quiz here. I chose it because at the time there was, throughout, I think it was On My Honor was a significant statement of scouting, and as it was in the general population at the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What were some of the things that you remember the most about your year as Scoutmaster? Leading up to it, the event itself, even the aftermath, if you will.
Well, I don't know. When you look at what your Scoutmaster, you look at the type of things that you have kind of stuck with the event, because it's continually changing. What this event was 25 years ago is not the same as it is today. It really has changed from being teaching adults how to do cold weather camping to for a lot is to get together, and it's, builds camaraderie amongst adults. And it's an opportunity to learn things to take back to your troop, your boys, your cubs, because there's a lot of covers here. I've got two things I consider, the staff, and this does not, the year that I was, it may have actually been the year before I was Scoutmaster, we started for staff doing the staff dinner on Thursday night, because a lot of people would come up to camp on Friday morning and really not have stopped and gotten a chance to eat. And that stuck. I mean, so you really consider that a success. And probably, and this one predates me as a Scoutmaster, it was a staff issue, was the starting of the Colosso Cobb Cafe. I started that as an event on Friday night, and that stuck. There's many generations now that have done it, come in, and groups have come in and done it successfully. It was really designed for a chance for Scouters in Cobb County to come together and have a meal and a chance to visit, because even with the event going on, there's not a lot of time for people to interact with each other on a casual basis. So kind of started as serving Scouters who serve Scouting in Cobb County. And I'm proud of that event. It's scaled up, it's scaled down, but it still exists, and it gives everybody a chance to, when they come in on Friday night, to get together. So it's one of those I consider it be a success. Anytime you can get adults together and relax and interact with each other, it builds a support network for them. I'm quite proud of that.
You bet. You bet. As you should be. I love it. Well, any last parting words with wisdom that you'd like to pass on to the rest of us?
One of the things about doing the crossover from being a Scoutmaster and working your way to Silver Claw is to be a has-been. And the biggest thing I guess I can say is, step back and watch the changes that take place, and realize that you are part of building a foundation for the event, but it is not your event. It is the new staff's event, and in turn, it's really something for all of the Scouters in Cobb County.
Welcome. Can you give me your name and what year were you Scoutmaster for SWC?
My name is Dan Wright, and I was Scoutmaster in 2013. The theme was Duty, Honor, and Country. I'm a veteran, and that rings true to a lot of people who were Army veterans. MacArthur said it. And so I kind of, it ties in with scouting. Scouting was started by the military guy, Colonel Powell and all that good stuff. So the unusual thing that year was that on the camp-wide game, we let the Bubbas run it. And the Bubbas ran an orienteering course. In other words, the staff just backed out of the camp-wide game. We said, okay, Bubbas, you got it. You run with it. And it turned out to be a pretty good event. The weather was not really all that adverse. It was relatively warm. You didn't really have to have your ears covered that much. The wind was gentle. It was, as far as trying to learn how to camp in cold weather, that wasn't the one. That wasn't the year to do that. The very first year I came up here, which is 1990, it started raining Saturday morning around 9 o'clock, and it rained all stinking day. The weather was horrible. It was cold. I said to myself, I ain't never going to come back to this thing again. And here I am 28 years later, and I'm still doing it.
How long have you been a Scouter?
Well, I started in Scouts, Jiminy Cricket. I guess it's been 30 plus years, give or take. I could be wrong on that. I've been an assistant scoutmaster, I've been a commissioner, I'm on a committee, district committee now for Foothills. Went to Wood Badge back when it was outside of Bird Adams, the old 212 site. And the reason we dug a latrine, we had to use the sucker. There was no, there wasn't any other facility, so we had to dig our own latrine, and that got to be a comical thing. Some of the memorable events, we've had snow, you could walk around in shorts, we've had all kinds of weather, over the 27 plus years. Met a lot of good people. Sometimes, some of these people I only see one time a year, which is up here, and it makes it kind of special. I went to Wood Badge with a lot of guys that keep coming around over and over and over again. I'm going to see Cliff Barger this year. I haven't seen Cliff in about 4 years. Good to see him again. One of the smartest decisions that the staff ever made, we used to build a structure down by the latrine right down here for our kitchen and staff area, and then I think it was Warren Wright decided we're going to use a nun building. That was a smart, because we would spend all day Friday building the structure, and then we go out and set up the game. Now, we don't have to build anything. It's already there. So you get up here Friday morning, go right out, set up the games. It takes a lot of pressure off. There's nothing to tear down, no equipment to put away wet, and all that kind of good stuff. So that was a real good decision.
What would you recommend for someone new, someone who's never been to SWC before? What would be something that you would recommend to them?
Layers. You wear layers. Now, these don't look like a whole lot, but they're inserts. I got 2 pair of socks on. I'm a skier, so I got ski socks and I got the liners on. But you got another pair of socks to go over this, layers. A trick I learned years ago was to have a garbage sack I put over the bottom of my sleeping bag. It drops it, another 5-10 degrees or more. And of course, a lot of people know my infamous tent heater. Don't go home without it. Don't leave home without it. And it's been fun. One thing that's unique about being a claw, all of a sudden, after the first year I was in the patrol and I had to do everything, came back the next year, my second year as a claw, and I looked around and said, I don't have any responsibilities. This is unbelievable. You're on the staff, you have something to do each and every year, you got to get ready. But all of a sudden I looked around and said, well, what am I going to do?
Don't know what to do with yourself.
Well, we volunteer. We play the games. Like last year, that game where we were pulling ourselves across, that was the best fun. They made a film of the thing and showed it at the campfire. That was kind of fun. So it's just been a great adventure. It really has. I wouldn't give it up for anything.
What year were you Scoutmaster for SWC?
I was Scoutmaster in 2014, the year of change.
The year of change. You want to tell us more about that?
Yeah. Basically, our method to the madness was our phrase. That's what we used. It was a time when scouting was going through a difficult time. We just decided to change policies on a few things, and there was a lot of feelings hurt. Okay. And people needed to be reminded that the methods were still the same, and the kids were still the same. We just need to get our heads on straight and go forward.
Okay. And how long have you been in scouting?
20 years.
Wow.
The first day of scouting was at SWC 2099.
Oh, that's just years at Scouters Winter Campout?
Yes.
How long have you been in scouting?
That was my first day in scouting.
That was your first day of scouting?
Yes. A friend of mine that used to come by a store which I was working at kept on telling me I had to come. I'd done some clinics. I'm an outdoor expert on different things for their unit anyway. So by doing that, you got to come. You got to come to this. You got to come. So he finally comes by the store and says, okay, what are you doing this weekend? Nothing. Good, I'm picking you up. And so he drove me here for my first SWC, filled out my scouting paperwork. And I became a scouter at SWC.
Wow. You're probably the only one.
Probably one of the very rare ones.
That's wonderful. So tell me more about you when you were Scoutmaster for Scouters Winter Campout. What did you do to set your campout apart from other SWC campouts?
Well, first of all, they've been serious a couple years prior, and with everything going on and the heaviness in the districts, I felt that, first of all, need to get the message out. The method's the key with the boys. Stick to it, focus on what you know is true with scouting. Everything else will be fine. Everything else will be fine. And it came to phrase method to the madness. And a fun phrase that we basically promoted with a mad scientist online. And of course, you see the big hat, as I know. I wear the big hat at SWC. Nobody's challenged it yet. But we want to make it fun. We want to make sure the principles of scouting was there. And the key to it, it's a game with a purpose, but if it's not fun, also, if they're not learning new skills they can take back to their units, things of that nature, then why are we here? This is a learning event. It's a teaching event. Of course, it's camaraderie. And that's one reason why a lot of us are still around after 20 years.
True. So, for you personally, is there a Scouters Winter Campout that stands out in your mind as one that was really amazing?
Except for my own. Obviously, my own was incredibly fun. I had a great group on staff that got into the theme and had a blast with it and really enjoyed things. It is that first one of Sam Johnson's because you have to realize if I had not come to SWC, I might not have joined scouting. I wouldn't have been around 20 years. And in 2014, I wouldn't have came to the ranks eventually to become the Scoutmaster.
That's wonderful.
So it's an adventure.
Well, we're glad you're here. Is there any other stories you'd like to tell us?
The other one is I'm one of the farthest traveling people to the event. I live in Independence, Missouri, and moved up there 4 years ago. And actually, love it. Great. I'm part of the Heart of America Council now, as one of their assistant council commissioners. And so scouting's everywhere. It's the same, folks. Keep involved no matter what. There's a place for you, even if you leave town.
Perfect. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Mr. Schimmel, tell us who you are and when you were Scoutmaster of SWC.
I'm Dave Schimmel, and I was Scoutmaster of SWC in 2015.
What was your theme for the year?
My theme was a Wide World of Scouting, and I chose that theme because I was really interested in helping everybody understand that the scouting movement is larger than just the Foothills District or the Atlanta Area Council or the United States Boy Scout organization, that it's really a worldwide phenomenon, and there's a theme to scouting that ties us all together. And that's something that the founder of Scouting, Baden-Powell, didn't realize when he started. But after a while, he realized that really this was a way to identify this was a way to tie people together. So he actually saw it as a means to enhancing peace in the world. So I wanted to lift that up.
So what was one of the things that you did with the participants to bring that about?
Okay, so we had for the 2015 SWC, we had each patrol identify with a country, and the idea was that they would bring some of the scouting traditions from that country to the event, and for the most part that worked. And a lot of interesting dress and foods came to the feast on Saturday night. I think it really had people stretch a little bit and think a little bit outside of the usual scouting box, if you will.
It was absolutely unique.
It was different, and that was my idea.
Yeah, it worked. It really worked. You've been in SWC how many years?
This is my 17th year at SWC. Actually, I counted as my 19th year,
okay.
But I only have 17 claws, and the reason for that was that my first year at SWC, I was part of a patrol, and I spent the whole fall doing the preparation and all of that, and working on various parts of the patrol formation process. And then in the last week before we left, I discovered, in quotes, my wife told me, in other words, that our PAX, I had younger kids in Cub Scouting, and our PAX Pinewood Derby was the same weekend. And so I was diverted from SWC to the Pinewood Derby.
Right.
And Fortunately, or actually from my perspective, unfortunately, our patrol came back with honor patrol that year, but I wasn't part of it. The same thing happened the next year, and then I went to the patrol leadership, to the pack leadership, and said, "You guys might want to consider changing the date of the Pinewood Derby," and they did. And I came in 2002 to SWC as part of the duct tape patrol.
Duct tape. You can't get much better than duct tape.
That is true.
You can use it for everything, right?
You can. We had we formed the Duct Tape Admiration Society. We brought a giant roll of duct tape to the event. It was about 4 feet in diameter. We called it the Chrome Magnum. We brought it in on a litter, and we released it that year. The activity field was not in use, and so we had the assembly on the hill on the dining hall side of the flags, and we released the roll of duct tape and rolled it down the hill, and it made it all the way to the lake. It was one of the highlights of SWC in 2002.
Something to behold, I'm sure.
It was.
Absolutely. Well, tell us some of the things that in your 17 years, 19 total,
Well, yes.
that you've learned from participating in the event.
So I guess one thing that I've learned is that for this event, it's something that you have to see to believe.
That is the truth.
It really is.
It defies explanation, doesn't it?
It defies explanation. I mean, the first time you see it, you're undoubtedly incredulous. And the thing that it is the absolute hilarity and inanity and spirit that is seen at the opening assembly on Saturday morning. It extends to the campfire on Saturday night, and the overall spectacle of nearly 400 adults running around pretending they're scouts and rediscovering the joy of scouting.
Reigniting that flame, absolutely.
Reigniting the flame.
Yeah. So mission accomplished.
I think so.
I think so too. Yeah, I agree.
It's really something, and I think that it's it sort of breaks down that boundary that we all have, that part of us that says, I don't want to be silly, I don't want to be crazy, I don't want to be seen making a fool of myself, but
I can't do that. I'm a grown-up.
I'm a grown-up. Well, and the same thing happens to our kids, and rediscovering that, sort of getting past that and realizing that it's okay to have fun. That's the thing that really is more important about SWC than probably anything else.
That it's okay. And not only okay, it's encouraged.
It's encouraged, and it's really where the secret of scouting is. It's the secret to
the secret ingredient.
It's the secret sauce.
That's right. Well, good words to pass on. Anything else you want to share with us about your time here at SWC?
Don't be afraid of the cold. One of the things I've learned in my years in scouting is that there's no such thing as bad weather, only poor choices in equipment. Come prepared, which means layers and gloves and warm sleeping bags and shelters and all those things. But if you get cold, it's okay, because the only place to go from cold is warm, right? And it is possible to get warm, and it is possible to survive, and it is possible to take off your clothes when it's only 10 degrees out and get into a sleeping bag, and you do wake up in the morning.
Right, and you still have a good time.
And in fact, you have a better time because of it.
Right, it's very memorable.
Because it's memorable, and it also teaches you something that I think is important in scouting, and that is that you can get through it and you can do it, and you don't have to run back to the creature comforts and the air-conditioned, heated, all of those things. Once upon a time, I had a scout on a backpacking trip, and it started to rain, and he said, "Are we going back?" And I said, "Well, the cars are 5 miles back that way and 5 miles ahead that way, and there's only one thing to do, to stay on the trail, because it doesn't matter which way we go, it's going to take 5 miles either way." And the thing that he discovered on that trip is that after you get wet, you can get dry. And you know,
And
on the
it'll
other
be
side
okay.
of that, if it's okay, and you do get dry, and then you feel like, oh yeah, we got through that, and it's really nothing to be afraid of. So the cold is the same way, right? You know, you can get through it. My one piece of advice for people that are planning their menus is soup is better than anything. Yeah, keeps you
Sounds
warm.
great. Sounds great. Well, thanks so much. We appreciate you being here today.
You're very welcome.
It's been terrific.
We're recording. Okay. Tell us your name and what year you were Scoutmaster of
All right.
SWC.
Are you ready, man? Scouting. Are you ready, man? I gotta do
There you
that.
go.
So let's do this all over again. Okay, scouting. Are you ready, man? Trent Trees, Scoutmaster of 2016, SWC.
Great. How long have you been in scouting?
Oh, scouting, I've been in, my son is 31, so subtract 6 years from that, so it's 25 years, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what do you think is the best part of coming to Scouters Winter Campout every year?
Best part. Well, I really like meeting people that I haven't seen for a year. It's just the fellowship you get. It's just wonderful. You know, because a lot of times I don't see anybody until this campground. You know, it's something that I just really enjoy, and seeing all the activities and the different types of games it's really cool. I'm a game guy.
Good. And was there a campout, was there an SWC campout that you liked the most, and what did you like best about
Well, of course, it'd be 2016, so it's Scoutmaster. But the one I think that people always remember is your first one, because it's so overwhelming, and so it makes a big impact on your brain, you know. And I know mine, my first one, we weren't prepared. It did everything that weekend. It was 80 degrees, and then it went down to freezing, rain, and then snowed on us. And then the winds picked up, and it was like a tornado. So we had it all that whole weekend, and we weren't prepared. So it was very, very dramatic.
So as Scoutmaster, what did you do differently during your tenure as Scoutmaster that set your campout apart?
Well, what I did is I did the Scoutmaster's Totem Award, in which I picked out the top 3 best totems, and I actually gave them a nice big plaque of my totem that I had made, so that they'd have that award first, second, and third place. And that's what I did.
Great. Thank you.
The other thing that was done was the SWC stickers. Everybody has those little stickers. That was my year.
Awesome. I've got mine.
Good.
What advice would you give a new SWC participant?
Well, of course, we want to keep warm. That's one of the best things around here to keep when you're out there camping. But SWC is a training event, and it's training unit leaders how to go back to their units and teach them how to keep warm and camp in bad weather situations. Like in 2016, when I was Scoutmaster at the campfire, it poured down rain. It was just pouring down on us the whole time, and everybody wondered why we didn't move it inside. Well, at the end of the campfire, I went on and said, this is a training exercise. We just went through training on how to stay, okay in bad weather, and that's what we're trying to do. And that's why we're here.
Thanks, Trent.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, Bob, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Bob.
Beautiful. What year were you Scoutmaster?
I was Scoutmaster in 2017, which was just last year when this was being filmed.
Just last year.
Yeah, it's fresh in my memory.
Good. So tell us a little bit about your year. What was special about your year?
The claw that I got is dipped in white.
Why is that?
That is because it snowed. And not only did it just have a little bit of snow, it snowed 4 1/4 inches, and the temperature dropped to 4 degrees overnight on Friday night. 4 degrees. And everybody stayed warm and had a good time. So that's what SWC is all about.
That's right. Played in the snow all weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It was a little difficult on Sunday afternoon getting out of camp because all that snow that had fallen was frozen over, and it was pretty icy. And the only real disappointment is that because of the ice and the treacherous paths and the treacherous roads, we decided to forego the Davis Inn hike and we decided to forego the closing campfire on Saturday night and at the camp council ring. We did have the ceremony, but we had it inside the dining hall, which made a few people happy.
Safety first, though.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, actually, it made quite a few people happy.
Good call.
It was. It was a good call. In hindsight, I'm glad because no one, I can't imagine, someone being seriously injured because we decided to tough it on the ice.
Always good. Always good. Life lessons. You use them here, don't you?
Well, hopefully it does. No matter where you are in life, whether you're like me on the downhill slope. No.
More developed in years than others.
Yeah. And or if you're like some other people that are experience challenged, that's those youngsters.
Those young whippersnappers. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well, what would you pass on to some of those youngsters? Now, you've been at SWC how many years?
I think this is my 13th year.
Okay.
Actually, it would have been 14th, but there was one year that I was on staff and I attended all the staff meetings. And unfortunately, on the Monday night, this was 2012, on the Monday night before the weekend, my mom passed away. But she was 94 years old, so maybe I've got some good genes.
Right. You're ready to keep on going.
That's right.
Many more. So
That's
what
right.
would you tell some of these younger folks now that are becoming involved in SWC? Some of the things that you learned, some of the things that were inspiring to you.
Okay. First, to the younger people, age is a requirement. Everybody ages. But maturity is not a requirement. And you can come to SWC and do crazy things, even though everyone that comes to SWC, it's required that you be an adult, 18 years old or older, but it's not required that you be mature. And I don't think very few of us are.
There's a reason for that, right? We try to take what we've learned here, right?
Yes. We are experiencing what the youth go through in our scouting program firsthand. Because when you sit back and you watch someone else do something, it's not like doing it yourself.
Right.
Okay.
So share with us some of those things maybe that you've participated in, some of the things that you've done that were special to you, that you took back to your troop. I know you've been involved in your troop for a long time.
Yes. There's a few games that I've taken back. There's one in particular from a couple of years ago, which is I had an excess of golf balls because I have a kayak and I paddle the Chattahoochee River quite often, and upstream from where I paddle, there are several golf courses, and when I'm paddling, I sometimes look down and see golf balls. And so I started I made a special scoop and I retrieved golf balls. And so I had was probably between 500 and 600 golf balls. And so we thought up a few games that involved golf balls, and so one of those in particular I took back to the troop a couple of years ago, and they seemed to enjoy it. Hadn't played it recently, but for a while there we played it several times, and they seemed to enjoy it. And it involved the skills of rescue skills, throwing, like if someone's drowning in the water and you need to throw a rescue device to them, a ring. It involved that. What else did it involve?
Not tying.
And yes, the rope that they were throwing was handed to them in 4 pieces, so it had to be tied in 3 knots that don't slip apart. That was important.
Right.
And they had also be tied to the ring. So.
Right.
Knot tying was involved in it, so it was a good game, and but most importantly, it was a fun game.
You bet. I remember the direction that you gave the staff for that particular event was keep the games simple.
Sound like a woodpecker, didn't it?
I know.
Okay.
Keep the games simple and skill related.
Yes.
Tell us why you did that.
And fun.
And fun, above all.
Above all, fun.
Why was that important to you?
Well, you don't want it to be too complicated because if it is, you're probably never going to take it back to the youth. These are young developing minds, and the importance is fun and to know that the skills that are taught in scouting are skills that you'll use the rest of your life. And for instance, when I was a youth, I was a counselor at summer camp and the nature staff, and I still can walk through the woods and recognize trees by their leaves if it's summertime, and not as many, but quite a few trees I recognize by their bark in the wintertime when there's no leaves on the trees, and I've kept that skill all my life.
And you never know which one of those things that we learn in Scouts that will stick with a particular young man.
That's right.
They're all important.
That's right.
You bet. Let's see. So, if you had something that you wanted to, advice to give, something that you want to pass on that you feel is important to you to keep people motivated to come back, whether it's to SWC or to Scouts, give us some of your words of wisdom, Bob. Tell us what's going on, what you want us to know.
Scouting is one program that develops people and keeps them involved with their community and with others. And it's just one. I think it's one of the better ones, and it's one that I enjoy. But I recommend people, if you're going to get involved, first I recommend you to get involved in some other activity other than just your occupation and going home and eating dinner and sitting down and watching television. Find you something that you enjoy doing, something that you're communicating and relating with other people that have similar interests, and it just makes life enjoyable.
It does. Well, thanks. We appreciate it very much. So glad you came today.
I'm proud to be here.
All right.
Hi, we'd like to know your name and your rank.
And my rank?
And your rank on this one.
All right. My name is Audrey Taylor, and I was Scoutmaster for the 50th Scouters Winter Campout, and my theme was Seek the Gold.
Oh, why did you seek the gold?
Back in 1993, 92, 93, I went through Wood Badge, and my Scoutmaster at Wood Badge, Brian Jones, had challenged us to find the gold on our overnight trek. And so we went out, me and my patrol, the Fox Patrol, and we looked high and low. We knew there was no gold out there to be found, but we sat down, we set up our camp, we sat down and had dinner. We had our little candle light because you couldn't have a fire out there. We were in the backwoods of Burt Adams, and we had fellowship. And we knew each other. We had known each other for a long time. There were a few of us in there that this was the first time we were meeting, was at Wood Badge. And so, but we got to know each other in Wood Badge, and it was a great program, a great training that we went through. And it was good to find people with like interest. We got to know each other's families through discussion. We got to know each other's units. And so as we were sitting around our candle lanterns, we're sitting there having fellowship and just enjoying each other's company and passing on resources and tips. And the sun was setting, and our one of the guys in our patrol, who later became our permanent patrol leader, Bill Hall, said, "Well, there's the gold," and pointed at the sunset, and we all agreed. And then the next morning we got up and we had breakfast and we watched the sun rise. And so when we checked back in at Gilwell Field for Wood Badge for our wrap up for the weekend, they asked if we had found the gold, and I answered yes, because I was the patrol leader that weekend. We had found the gold and told them that the gold we found was the fellowship, and that's what the gold in scouting has always been for me. The fellowship, what you have with each other, is what you want to take back from any training, from any event, you want to take it back to the kids, to the boys.
Awesome. What's your favorite SWC memory, and how many years have you got with SWC?
This was my 29th year. This year, 2018, was my 29th year. I have 28 claws on my thing, and what ties in, the reason I have 28 instead of 29 is my favorite memory of SWC is of Bill Barber. Bill was Scoutmaster a long time ago, and my first campfire for SWC, didn't know a lot of people. I was a cub leader, assistant cub master, I think, and when they were doing the bear claws that night and they were calling out gears, Bill came up, and here comes Bill with this. Now, for y'all that don't know Bill, look around in pictures, look in and see if you can find him, because he was big in heart for scouting, and he was Mr. Scouting to his family. I served on jury duty with his brother, who was Mr. Scouting. But in scouting, he was bigger than life to me. And he came down, walking down, and he had this little cane, and it was bendy, and it was wobbly, and he walked like the crooked old man coming down a crooked trail. And everybody stood and applauded, and as he got closer to the campfire, he threw the stick up in the air, caught it like he was leading a band, and ran and hopped over the fire. And everybody just cracked up, and he was wiry and he was full of life. And that's what, to me, is scouting, what a scout leader should be. Just having fun with it, bringing it back. And Bill was my favorite scouter. And about a year before he passed, he was unable to come to the event. And at the end of the event on Saturday night after campfire, I asked Tom Ogletree if he was going by to see Bill. And he said yes, and I gave him my claw and said, give this to Bill. And he said, well, you won't have one. I said, that's okay, I know where it's at. So I gave Bill my claw. So then the next year, the Silver Claw said, we need to get you a claw to replace that one. I said, no, that's okay. So they gave me a claw, and then on the way home, stopped at the barbecue place, and somebody said, oh, I lost my claw at campfire, so I gave them my claw. And so there's always one missing for the one who's missing, which is Bill Barber. And of course, not only is Bill Barber missing, but Russ Parker and Jim Vaughn and, you know, just countless other Silver Claws and people that have been my brothers and sisters in scouting, Mark Shepard, you know, just countless other people that have not been a Silver Claw, but that one claw to me is symbolic for the people that are missing, that have made a huge impact on my life in scouting.
So they are the gold that you were seeking?
They are absolutely the gold. And when I find the gold, I take it back. And it's the best.
So what do you think the troops get out of SWC?
If they have a unit coming up that are adults, I think that the adults get to be that it's their camporee. They get to play the games just like an 11-year-old boy. And now we have girls, but you know, next year we'll have girls in the Boy Scout program, but they'll get to play just like the kids that they get to see things from that point of view, which they haven't done in years and years. So not only do they get to live scouting through the eyes of their kids, but they get to relive it themselves. And in that, they get to find what is fun about it, and they get to have that joy and go, this is something I want to take back, whether it's a game or just a feeling or something they saw. This year we did show and do. It didn't go real big because a lot of people don't know about show and do. It's something that's been lost over the years, and I wanted to bring it back. But it's finding things that you like to do, that is the best thing you do, and you bring it back and you share it. And those are the things you take back. A long time ago when I was a Cub Master, I did Cub Day Camp for Colossal Cobb. And they sent me to National Camping School, and on the wall, and it was down at Warner Robins, and on the wall there was a poster, and it said, if it's not for the boys, it's for the birds. And I have always held to that. So if you're in scouting for your own purposes, you're in it for the wrong reason. You got to be there for the kids. I don't know if that answered your question, but
Oh, it was right on. Thank you.
so
What is the most personal to you about your year as the Golden Scoutmaster?
I'm not the Golden Scoutmaster. I just happened to get that
You're
year.
the 50th year, so
I'm
you're
the
the
50th.
Golden, so.
What was most personal for me?
Yeah, the most personal achievement or
I don't know
memory
that-
or thought or.
I don't think it's an achievement. You know, I think a lot of people think, oh, you know, got to get the Scoutmaster. I have enjoyed every year at SWC, whether I've been on staff or whether I've been in a patrol. You know, in the book that we get every year, there is a story that they talk about that.
Oh, the Homer story.
Yeah, well, it's not so much the Homer story as that they say, you know, once you have been a Scoutmaster, the reason they created the Silver Claws is once you've been Scoutmaster, you become a Silver Claw so that you're no longer on staff. But after you've been a Silver Claw for a while, if you want to go back, if you're still working with the unit, you can go back with your unit as a patrol. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I'm hoping that the other Silver Claws don't have a problem with it. Either that or try to get them to have a patrol and we just do it big and, you know, have fun with it that way. But I look forward to being able to participate in the games again and have fun and participate in the activities and just be a participant, you know, because on staff, you see this side of it and you see the joy that you are seeing the participants have. So there's the joy of being on staff and there's the joy of being a participant. And both are equally as fun. But after a while, you begin to kind of miss being a participant. And I've always had just as much fun being in a patrol as I've ever had being on staff. So it's 50-50. No pun intended with 50-50. But I love both sides of it.
So how would you sum up the 50 years of Scouters Winter Campout?
How would I sum it up? Oh my gosh. I don't know how to sum it up. It's amazing. It's fun. We've come a long way. And I don't mean that in the sense of, you've come a long way, baby, the whole commercial thing from a long time ago. I just mean it as, we have come a long way. There's been a lot of changes in scouting. And I think to continue forward with scouting, you just have to have the heart for it. I think you have to have it in your heart. You know, I think on Monday nights or Tuesday nights, most units have their patrol meetings or their troop meetings or pack meetings. We always recite the Scout Oath or the Cub Scout Promise, and we always, you know, with Boy Scouts, we always say the 12 points of the Scout Law. I don't know how many times I have gone for an interview of some sort, whether it's for a job or just a volunteer position, and they ask you, what are you? What can you bring to this? And I always think of the 12 points of the Scout Law, because it's not just saying it by rote, it's taking it in, and that becomes part of you. You know, the oath becomes part of you. The points of the Scout Law become part of you. I love scouting.
So you think the original leaders of SWC achieved their purpose in showing everyone can camp in the cold weather and have a good time?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. We do it every year. Whether we have snow or ice or 65-degree weather. You know, we've had years that we've come in and it's beautiful sunset, it's 65 degrees, we wake up and it's, you know, 42 and it's drizzling rain, and by nightfall we've got snow, and you wake up and, you know, it's white and your little tiny tent looks like a doghouse next to the big tent, you know. So
what do you say to the next 50 years?
Keep it moving forward, but don't lose the tradition.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.